Luigi Mangione is currently being held in a Pennsylvania jail as he fights extradition to New York to face a murder charge for the shooting of a health insurance CEO last week. Arriving at his extradition hearing yesterday, Mangione had this message for reporters.
It's completely out of touch. It's an insult to the intelligence of the American people and its lived experience.
In case you missed it, Mangione shouted out, "This is completely unjust and an insult to the intelligence of the American people and their lived experience." Now, in Pennsylvania, Mangione is only facing lesser charges for forgery, falsely identifying himself and carrying a gun without a license. But this was his lawyer, Thomas Dickey, addressing the bigger charge, the murder charge, which he's facing in New York.
Listen, I haven't seen any evidence that says that he's the shooter. So that's, like I said earlier, and I wasn't kidding around. A couple of things. If you're going to report something, report it accurately. And remember, and this is not just a small thing, the fundamental concept of American justice is a presumption of innocence, and until you're proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And I've seen zero evidence at this point.
Really? There's so many great characters in this whole thing. Evidence, zero evidence. I suppose, unfortunately for the lawyer, he does seem he's going to have a difficult job ahead of him. Evidence against Mangione does appear to be mounting. So police say that Mangione had considered using a bomb to kill United Healthcare boss Brian Thompson, but ruled it out because, quote, it could kill innocents. That's according to a notebook police say they found amongst Mangione's belongings. And Mangione's handwritten 260-word manifesto has also now been published. In it, he said this: "I do apologize for any strife or traumas, but it had to be done. Frankly, these parasites simply had it coming. A reminder, the US has the number one most expensive healthcare system in the world, yet we rank roughly number 42 in life expectancy. United is the indecipherable largest company in the US by market cap, behind only Apple, Google, Walmart. It has grown and grown, but has our life expectancy? No, the reality is they've simply gotten too powerful, and they continue to abuse our country for immense profit because the American public has allowed them to get away with it." I suppose presumably the lawyer is going to be saying that's a forgery. I don't know. If he's saying that there's zero evidence, he's hopefully going to have to prove that all of these texts which have been ascribed to Mangione weren't actually Mangione's. Interestingly, though, as we've been talking about all week, it seems that segments of the American public agree with Mangione's assessment. Since the killing last week, large numbers have expressed emotions on social media, ranging from indifference to jubilation at the shooting. Some have even offered to pay his legal fees, according to his attorney. Others appear to have been inspired. In New York, wanted posters featuring photographs and details of other healthcare executives have appeared in public spaces. Some even include murdered CEO Brian Thompson with his face crossed out. Now, I do think that's very unpleasant, sort of putting up the faces of people, sort of, I suppose, inviting people to take violent action against them. According to CNN, health insurance companies have been taking the threat of copycats seriously, closing headquarters, scrubbing their websites of executive photographs, and increasing armed security details for key leaders. Of course, though, it's not Mangione's alleged crime that's garnering him the most international attention. It's those abs and those eyebrows. And even the right-wing press can't get enough. He's featured on the Daily Mail's front page, where their writer confesses to being conflicted about the hot assassin. The Times managed to unearth a lesser-known topless pic of the hot assassin. Meanwhile, Unheard magazine described Mangione as America's everyman and a folk hero. And Unheard, which is sort of an ideologically heterodox website, but generally anti-woke, couldn't resist the alleged killer's internet-breaking shirtless pic. According to The Telegraph, though, the global firsting for the CEO killer was actually all concocted by the woke. It's unclear precisely which social justice warrior is responsible for Mangione's defined abs and chiseled jawline. Helena, this sort of started on the internet, and you could see how this became a massive thing on sort of like Twitter, everyone pointing out these good-looking fella, and while no one would endorse the actions he took, he's he writes somewhat, articulately about it. It does seem surprising how open the Daily Mail, the Times, I mean, the Telegraph was blaming the woke left or Unheard. All these magazines seem quite happy to kind of go along with this. I'd have thought that this would be sort of a moment where the right wing would be saying, right-wing press or centrist press saying it's disgraceful that everyone is thirsting over this killer, but they seem kind of happy to go along with it all.
I mean, what's interesting to me is that there were some immediate right-wing pieces put out, maybe not in the actual mainstream press, but in terms of right-leading influencers on the internet, by like Ben Shapiro's and the Matt Walshes of this world, saying the revolutionary left is out of hand, celebrating this killer of the CEO. This is terrible. In fact, Piers Morgan got furious with Taylor Lorenz having a little chuckle about the incident on his YouTube show, because that's what Piers Morgan is now, a YouTuber rather than a real journalist. But I digress. And they were furious, saying it's terrible that people might be celebrating this as a cold-blooded killer, and anybody talking about him or making light of the situation is morally poisoned and they're evil. And their comment sections were just flooded with people going, actually, no, this isn't a left-right issue. This isn't a woke, anti-woke issue. Like, Americans of all different political stripes, they all have to deal with the American healthcare service, and all of them are absolutely furious. In fact, one comment said, I've just realized Ben Shapiro's business model relies on getting normal people to hate each other. And I think that, obviously, I don't think that people from the Telegraph or the Times or the Daily Mail or whatever have gone into Ben Shapiro's comment section to try and see what the public mood is. But we all saw the number of ha-ha reactions on the United Healthcare Facebook post. This is something that has bipartisan, not support, but they're the feelings of being less than sympathetic for the CEO themselves. This is something that has crossed many different political ideological lines, especially in America. And if you're a newspaper, if you're a paper like the Daily Mail or the Times or whatever, and you rely on people buying and actually interacting with your paper, you can't put people off buying them in the future. And at a time when everybody, and even people who don't even use the American healthcare system, like people in the UK, are looking at this going, well, we don't condemn murder, but if you are causing a lot of social murder in your company, we can't be too sympathetic with you. These papers that actually have a desire to sell these things to people and keep readers engaged, they're not going to say something that massively disagrees with what the vast plurality of people are thinking about this. And it's a good story, What's going viral of this? Is it serious liberal think pieces about how we can't let our society fall to revolutionary violence? No, it's people talking about how hot he is and what's the statements made in his manifesto, and commenting on all of the TikToks of people making funny memes about, my FBI agent who's listening into our conversation forgot about the fact that I said in Minecraft about the situation with regards to CEOs having their names plastered all over New York or whatever. So if you're trying to sell, you're not going to try and lean into the things that aren't getting traction on the internet. The thing that's made this story popular is the outpouring of lack of sympathy in America and the meme status. The meme status he has become a meme overnight, right? You don't go from no followers to 300,000 followers on Twitter without becoming a meme cult celebrity figure. And the papers who rely on circulation are buying into that, in my mind.
I think that's very well put. Yeah, they just can't help but get on the bandwagon because this is selling papers. Really interesting. I mean, as I say, I don't condone sort of putting up posters of CEOs sort of with targets on them. But if you worked in that industry, beyond feeling fear for your personal safety, which I sympathize with them for, realizing that people hate your industry so much that someone who killed a leading figure in your industry is now being celebrated as, essentially a hero by many people, but even among like the Times of London are just sort of talking about this guy like he's a really hot guy who's sort of just a celebrity. Must be really, really surreal, really, really bizarre. Hopefully making them rethink their industry a little bit, even if not via sort of means we can get behind. Helena, thank you so much for joining me this evening. It's always a pleasure having these discussions with you.
Thank you for having me. Cheers for the story tonight. It was a good one.
Thank you guys for watching tonight. Come back tomorrow, of course, for another show from 6 p.m. For now, you've been watching Novara Media. Good night.